Welcome back to another episode of Play Action Fantasy Football. We're going to go over the wide receiver start sits here. Now, I know there are a couple guys that were pointed out to me I missed on the top 30. One of the guys that I just completely forgot about because of bye weeks. I apologize about that. But other than that, he's obviously going to be a good player, and we're going to talk about him here in just a second. But why don't we go ahead and kick it off with Thursday Night Football. We got the Broncos and the Chiefs. And unfortunately for the Broncos, they're going to have to go up against the Chiefs in Arrowhead, which is a very tough stadium to play in. Chiefs are currently 13th on defense when it comes to pass defense. So, as of right now, Courtland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy are going to be cautionary starts for me. And Marvin Mims is going to be a sit. Sutton has took a step back last week, but Jerry Jeudy's finally starting to get a little bit better as he's averaging a little over 6 targets per game and over 50 yards per game since he came back. In those last 3 games has definitely been improving, and that's a good thing for Jerry Jeudy. Chiefs side of the ball, though, I'm not going to start any of these guys except for I'm going to give a cautionary start to Rashee Rice. He did catch a touchdown last week, and over the last 3 games, he is getting a little over 5 targets a game. Nobody else is even getting close to 5 targets. I think the most is 3 average per game for some of these guys. As of right now, he's getting the most targets, so here's a cautionary start for me here. How about Sunday at 9:30? You get the Ravens and the Titans. I'm going to go ahead and start Zay Flowers here, and I'm going to sit every single person other than Zay Flowers here. Zay Flowers had 5 catches, 11 targets, and 73 yards last week. Definitely continues to be the weapon for Lamar Jackson, and he continues to be a low-end RB2 and a flex viable player, and we love to see that from Zay Flowers. So like I said, Zay Flowers is the only guy I'm starting in this matchup here. None of these other guys, they're not doing it. There's too many guys, kind of similar to what the Chiefs have, except for, it seems like Zay Flowers, again, is the only guy really getting out of targets here. On the opposite side of the ball, Tennessee Titans, DeAndre Hopkins had a DeAndre Hopkins type of game. Finally had a really good game last week against the Colts, and that's why he's going to be a start for me here. Other than that, the rest of these guys are going to be sit. Traylon Burks, again, dealing with a little injury here. He's going to be a sit for me. And Westbrook is also going to be a sit for me. Moving on to Sunday 1 o'clock games, you got the Panthers and the Dolphins. On the Panthers side of the ball, you got Adam Thielen. He is being phenomenal. He's been phenomenal the last couple weeks here. In the last 3 games for Thielen, he's averaging a little over 11 targets per game and 109 yards, a little over 109 yards per game there. That is ridiculous for Adam Thielen, considering that he had Bryce Young in one of those weeks, then Andy Dalton, and then Bryce Young again. He's fantasy viable no matter who's at quarterback right now. They found a way to utilize Adam Thielen, and I'm glad to see that because Adam Thielen is definitely that type of player you want in fantasy that could be that late round sleeper that finally breaks out. Now, Jonathan Mingo and DJ Chark, I'm going to go ahead and give them both cautionary starts. I would say if you have either one of these guys, I would probably lean more DJ Chark, but Jonathan Mingo is not terrible in this situation either. They're going up against the Dolphins, who are 20th on the pass. Not a great defense on the passing side of the ball for the Dolphins, so I'm going to give them both a cautionary start. Dolphins side of the ball, though, Tyreek Hill is going to be a start for me. He's had 2 games where it was kind of like a little weird. He didn't put up a lot of points, but other than that, he's been dominant. I mean, 8 catches, 9 targets, 181 yards, and a touchdown last week, and he's averaging 26.2 points this season. Fantastic numbers from Tyreek Hill, as usual. Jalen Waddle, he's going to be a cautionary start for me in this one. He did have 5 catches, 10 targets last week for 35 yards, and he had a touchdown. That touchdown kind of made him fantasy dependent last week. He kind of needed that touchdown to break over that start category. So he's going to be a cautionary start for me here, as the Panthers do have a top 5 defense in passing. But like I said, Tyreek Hill's unstoppable. Jalen Waddle, I'm going to give him a cautionary start. Other than that, Braxton Berrios and Chase Claypool, who is now on the Dolphins after the trade last week, he's also going to be a sit. Saints and Texans, you got Chris Olave as a cautionary start in this one. He seems to be losing those targets. And then Michael Thomas is starting to gain him back, it definitely seems like. So Michael Thomas will be a start for me in this one against the Texans. And then Shaheed is also going to be a sit for me on this one. Texans side of the ball here, you got the Nico Collins, and he's going to be a cautionary start for me. Him and Robert Woods both are going to be cautionary starts. Saints have the 4th best pass defense. I mean, they just shut out New England. 34-0. CJ Stroud is definitely a little bit of a better quarterback as of right now than Mac Jones. However, for me, not enough. I'm going to put Nico and Woods as a cautionary start. Doesn't mean that they're not going to get a lot of targets or a lot of upside to potentially turn into a good game or a big game for them. Collins last week, 3 catches, 4 targets, 39 yards, and then Woods 3 catches on 9 targets for 30 yards. And they were both second tier when it came to Tank Dell last week, but Tank Dell's dealing with a concussion. That's why he's going to be a sit for me. And then John Minchie, if Tank Dell can't go, is also going to be a sit. How about the Commanders and Falcons now? You got Terry McLaurin. He's going to be a cautionary start. He did not have a good game last week on Thursday Night Football against the Bears. He was pretty much held to just 1 catch at halftime. Now, he did end up turning that around a little bit. 4 catches on 5 targets for 49 yards. So he did turn that around a little bit, but not enough for us to put him as a start. That's why he's going to be a cautionary start for me. Falcons have had a couple weaknesses here and there, but their pass defense is pretty tough. So that's why him and Curtis Samuel are both going to be cautionary starts for me. Now, Curtis Samuel turned in last week to a fantastic day. And Curtis Samuel's continuously getting better as the weeks go on. It seems like Curtis Samuel's taking that step up and Jahan Dotson's taking that step down. That's why Jahan Dotson's going to be a sit for me. Other side of the ball, Drake London's going to be a start for me. London in week 4 ended up with 11 points and week 5, 13 points. He has not hit double digits other than those 2 weeks. Now, saying that right now, that was against the Texans last week. So I'm not going to be crazy about this. However, he will be a start for me in this one, considering the Commanders are 21 in pass. They are 21st. Matt Collins and Scott Miller will be sits for me for the Falcons in this one as well. Moving on now, you got the Colts and the Jaguars, a rematch from week 1, where the Jaguars and Colts kind of had a shootout. Only difference is no Anthony Richardson this week. Actually, for the next couple weeks. So the Colts on this side of the ball, we're going to give a start to Michael Pittman. He seems to be doing pretty well so far. 13.4 points per game. Definitely good enough to be a low-end RB2/flex play this week. And then a guy that I'm kind of interested in as well, somebody I talked about a couple weeks ago, is Josh Downs. Josh Downs did better when Gardner Minshew was at quarterback rather than Anthony Richardson. Now, that being said, Josh Downs is going to get a cautionary start. I'm not ready to blow the door off on this one yet. I'm not ready to put him in as an automatic start. But over his last 3 games, he's averaging 7 targets per game. So he's getting the volume. Now it's just a matter of can he do anything with the volume and turn it into production. We'll have to wait and see. Alec Pierce is a sit for the Colts in this one. Jaguar side of the ball, though, Christian Kirk and Calvin Ridley are both starts for me, and then Zay Jones will be a sit. Kirk has caught 69.7% of his targets. He's had 30 catches on the year for 43 targets. He is starting to heat up, and he's going. If the ball's pretty much thrown to him, he's almost automatically catching this. At least for the most part, it seems that way. Now, last week, Calvin Ridley finally turned it around. 7 catches, 8 targets, and 122 yards, and he was a big factor on third down plays. Huge for Calvin Ridley there. Moving on, you got the Seattle Seahawks and the Bengals. DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. DK Metcalf is the guy I forgot in my rankings for wide receivers this week. I know I got called out on that, and bye weeks threw me off in general, so I apologize. However, DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett both starts in this one. Even though the Bengals have a top 10 or number 10 defense against the pass, they still have weaknesses. And DK Metcalf's a big body guy. You might have to double him, and then if you double him, you got a speedster in Tyler Lockett. So it's not really a win-win situation here for the Bengals defense. But DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett both starts. Jackson Smith and Jigba is going to be a sit. Bengals side of the ball, though, Jamar Chase, after an amazing performance, 15 catches, 19 targets, 192 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Unbelievable. In week 3, he ended up with 26 points. In week 4, he ended up with 14 points. And in week 5, 52 points based on the scoring in my league. Now, that might be different depending on what league you're in or how your scoring is. I don't know if you get bonuses, whatever the case is. But regardless of the fact, those are good numbers. And it seems like he's finally clicking with Joe Burrow. And Burrow's finally figuring it out. Now, Tyler Boyd's going to be a cautionary start for me as well. Now, he did not put up a bunch of points. He put up 9 points. Seattle's 30th against the pass. And Tyler Boyd had 6 catches for 7 targets and 39 yards last week against the Cardinals, who are 26 against the pass now. So that being said, T. Higgins is going to be a sit for me because of the fact that he's still questionable and he has that injury to the ribs. I'm not too confident about him taking any hits until maybe another week or 2 from now. Vikings and Bears, and unfortunately, Justin Jefferson is now on the IR. Justin Jefferson will be out for 4 weeks with a hamstring injury. I think I said knee injury in the rankings. Mixed him and James Conner up when I was talking to my buddy about this stuff. But Justin Jefferson with that hamstring injury and him being a speedy guy, definitely need to get that back to normal and back to 100%. So Justin Jefferson on the IR. Now we got to look at other options. Jordan Addison's going to be a start for me in this one. He's definitely been a fantasy viable guy so far this year. Not crazy viable, but enough to where he could be a flex or a low wide receiver too. KJ Osborne will be a cautionary start for me in this one, and then Brandon Powell did put up decent numbers last week, but I don't consider that to continue. I don't think that's going to continue here. He's going to be a sit. Opposite side of the ball for the Bears, DJ Moore is going to be a start after a phenomenal performance from him last week. I mean, DJ Moore has been fantasy viable pretty much all year long, no matter the matchup, except for week 1. And if you look at his points, again, based on my scoring in my league, 5 points week 1, week 2 he had 16, week 3, 13, okay, not terrible, but not great either. Then week 4, 27, and then he brings out a 49-point performance in week 5. In some leagues, it went up as high as like 54, 56-ish. I mean, that's just unbelievable from him. He had a fantastic game last Thursday. Darnell Mooney, because of DJ Moore, is losing a lot of targets. It seems like that's the only guy that Justin Fields is targeting. So Darnell Mooney is going to be a sit. And then Equimius St. Brown, I probably botched his first name. I apologize if I did. But he's also going to be a sit for me in this one. 49ers and Browns is going to end our 1 o'clock games here. And the Browns look like they're going to be without Deshaun Watson. Now, if that is the case here, doesn't matter anyhow for me. Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk are going to be starts regardless if that defense is gassed or if they're on top tier. Brock Purdy is going to find a way to get to the ball to these guys, and Kyle Shanahan, being the mind that he is, will find a way to make plays designed around these guys. So Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk are both going to be starts, and Juwan Jennings is going to be a sit. Brown side of the ball, this is where it gets tricky. Obviously, Amari Cooper is a start against the 49ers, even with their tough defense, if Deshaun Watson plays. If he does not play, he's going to be a cautionary start, as you see on the screen right now. Other than that, Elijah Moore and Donovan Peoples-Jones will be a sit regardless of who plays. That's a no-brainer. 4 p.m. games start off with the Patriots and the Raiders, and we're going to go ahead and give a cautionary start to Kendrick Bourne. I'm going to sit Juju and sit Devontae Parker. Mac Jones has not been playing great, but again, Kendrick Bourne is a guy who, if you have injuries or you have a guy on bye week and you really need somebody, Kendrick Bourne might be a decent play this week. Bill Belichick knows what Josh McDaniels is going to do. That was his protege. Keep that in mind. So knowing how this is going to play out, I expect Kendrick Bourne to be able to put up a decent fantasy game, to be a low floor play at flex. Raiders side of the ball, Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers are both going to be starts for me. Devontae Adams got it going late, but Jacoby Myers had it going all game long against the Packers on Monday Night Football, and that's why they're both going to be starts for me here. Hunter Renfrow, will be a sit for this game. Lions and Buccaneers, and this is probably going to be one of the best games to watch this week if it's in your market, or if you have Sunday Ticket, make sure that you are watching this game. Lions and Buccaneers. Amon-Ra St. Brown was out last week. He is coming back, and he's averaging 17.8 points per game. That is fantastic for him. He is a low-end wide receiver 1, high-end RB or wide receiver 2. Josh Reynolds had a fantastic game as well. Now, he didn't do a lot with he did do a lot with targets, but he didn't get a lot of targets. 4 catches, 5 targets, 76 yards, and a touchdown. Definitely a good day for him. That touchdown did help him boost his points up. But other than that, he would have ended up in a PPR league with 11 points. That's enough for a flex play for me. He'll be a start. And then Jameson Williams is going to be a sit in this one for me. On the opposite side of the ball, a guy who is not in my top 30 for this exact reason. He's questionable with a hamstring injury. And his big frame, that's not good. That's a lot of hamstring that is going to be sore. I don't know exactly how badly it has gotten for him. But the Lions are a good defense. And they've been doing very, very well last couple weeks. That's why Mike Evans is a cautionary start for me. I'm not a big fan of the matchup for him. And with that hamstring, that's definitely a question mark for me. But being the talent that he is, I'm going to give him a questionable start. I just don't think he's a top 30 play this week. Chris Godwin, on the other hand, will be a start for me. Him and Baker have found that connection the last 2 weeks with Mike Evans going down. I just think Godwin is finally going to have a really good game and finally be that fantasy relevant wide receiver that we've been hoping for. Trey Palmer will be a sit in this one as well. Cardinals and Rams now. Marquise Brown is definitely a guy I'm going to start. 7 points in week 1, 17 in week 2, 17 in week 3, then 16 the last 2 weeks in week 4 and 5. He's been very, very consistent. We like that. I honestly would throw him in as a wide receiver 2 this week if you don't have anyone better or if you have a tougher matchup. But as of right now, Marquise Brown has been very, very relevant in fantasy football. Start him. Michael Wilson and Rondale Moore will be sits in this one. And then on the Rams side of the ball, Van Jefferson was traded away to the Falcons. He probably will not be a factor in this game for the Falcons that I talked about earlier. That's why he was not on the graphic screen. Tutu Atwell will be a sit for me in this one as well, as it seems that the main targets for Stafford will be Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, and then Kyron Williams out of the backfield. So with that being said, Cooper Kupp and Nacua are starts. Both can coexist. 8 catches and 12 targets and 118 yards for Kupp. Nacua, 7 catches, 11 targets, and 71 yards for a touchdown. That is coexisting, and that is fantastic to see. If you picked up Puka Nacua and took him on a gamble for 4 weeks, now he might be a guy you have all year long, and that's fantastic. Eagles and Jets now, and you got A.J. Brown, who's coming off a really good couple of games here. Last 3 games for A.J. Brown, he's averaged 26 points per game, 8 catches per game, and 11 targets. He's heating up. Unfortunately, on the other hand, though, Devonta Smith is finally cooling down. But up against the Jets, and A.J. Brown having to probably go up against Sauce Gardner, I'm going to give Devonta Smith a chance here and give him a cautionary start. Other hand, though, Quez Watkins, I'm going to go ahead and sit him. Jets side of the ball, though, Eagles are 25th in pass defense, and it just depends on what Zach Wilson is going to show up. Now, that running game is going to open up the pass, and Breece Hall definitely did that against the Broncos last week. That might give a lot of opportunity now for Garrett Wilson to maybe be a fantasy viable flex or wide receiver 2 this week. So I'm going to give him a cautionary start, but Allen Lazard and Randall Cobb are going to be sits. How about Sunday Night Football now? You got the Giants and the Bills. Honestly, I would like to see this game get flexed. It's not going to probably get flexed here. I expect the Bills to blow them out. Giants receivers, sit them all. We're not going to even discuss that. Other side of the ball, though, Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis are both going to be starts for me, and Deontay Hardy will be a sit. Now, Davis, week 1, 21 points. Week 2, 11 points. Week 3, 15 points. Week 4, 22. He's averaging 5.5 targets and turning it into 17.25 points per game. A little over 17 points on a little less than 6 targets a game. That's pretty damn good for Gabe Davis. Go ahead and start him. And ending it here with Monday Night Football, you got the Cowboys and the Chargers. CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup. It's not their fault. It's Dak Prescott's fault. Dak Prescott is just god-awful right now. God-awful right now. So they're both going to be cautionary starts, though, for me going up against the Chargers, who are the worst pass defense in the league. So give those guys a cautionary start. Maybe they finally break it out here, but as of right now, they're both are just suffering at the hands of Dak Prescott, and then Brandon Cooks is going to be a sit. Charger side of the ball, though, go ahead and start Keenan Allen and Joshua Palmer. They're going to throw the ball 40 to 50 times this game. Even though Dallas is number 2 against the pass, I still think this is going to be a good game for them, especially coming off a bye week. They're going to light it up, especially at home against the Cowboys, who just suffered a loss to the hands of the 49ers. And then Quentin Johnston is going to be a sit as well. But other than that, that's going to do it for our wide receiver start sits. If you have any issues with this, go ahead and comment it in there. If you have any issues with, something else in here, let me know. We'll figure it out. We'll look into it. But other than that, look out for the quarterback start sit later today. You guys have a good one.